the futility of the blame China crowd. It's actually remarkable. No different than the blame Muslim crowd. It's Muslim crowd. It's infantile, frankly. And this will take some of you guys off, be it as it may. I'm reading, so I came across a guy named Vox Day at voxday.net. And the guy's just profound. I mean, it's just a profound, I tell you, man, it makes you start reading deeper. And I've been doing this for a couple of years now, but I just really started getting even deeper into my philosophical thing, underpinnings. And I recognize the futility of MSNBC versus Fox, the infantilism of that. I recognize the futility of, these 18 Muslim Cessna flyers with box cutters, and somehow they created the biggest terrorist attack in America ever. The whole thing is just nuts. I recognize the CPC, the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, or the Communist Party of China is what it should be called, has somehow branded this or unleashed this Wuhan Wuhan virus onto the world by design by China. And you're like, wait a second, who is actually funding the Wuhan lab? It wasn't China. I mean, they might have some funding, but certainly us. We're actually 100% in cahoots with these people, thus being our global betters, not just the United States. Don't blame America. Don't blame Kyle Rittenhouse. Don't blame the Muslims. Don't blame the Chinese. It's so much deeper than that. So much deeper than that. So my man, I'm reading about my man Michael Edison. I was talking a little bit about Wang Tuning, and I hadn't heard of him. I know Xi Jinping, and I was like, man, that guy's basically the third state of Chinese economy. We had the Marxist state, then we had under Mao, then under Deng Xiaoping, it was the to get rich is glorious, and now we have a common, what do you say? A common, I can't remember. It's like the third wave essentially of China as economic viewpoint, and not just economic but world perspective. And I tell you, read some of this stuff, you're like, a lot of that's freaking righteous, man. I'm telling you, man, you read some of this stuff that Xi Jinping is doing, you're like, yeah, I'm not against that. I mean, there's bad things, I grant you, but hell, there's bad things here. Every day we got bad things here. Anyway, but it's interesting because you say, China's going to take over the world. Then you realize the moral discrepancies, disparity, what's the word I'm looking for? The moral crisis that China is in is almost identical to the moral crisis that we are in. And you think, well, who doesn't have the moral crisis? Indonesia? No, it's all over. It's all over. The birth rate's falling, this nihilistic attitude. And you can't just say it's because of social media, Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, some of that, sure. But I just think the idea that, anyway, it's interesting. It's just interesting. You realize that's so much more deeper than China bad, Muslims bad, America good, Christians good. It's not like that, man. It's so much deeper. And it's just a wave of nihilism and just cultural destruction all over the world is taking place. And I don't know if anyone's avoiding it. I'm trying to think, like, even in, I don't know, Pakistan, I don't know. I'm not sure, like, even the most devout Muslim countries, are they avoiding it? I don't think so. I mean, from Asia to China, all through Russia, Europe, of course, Europe's doing, but China's got less of a birth rate than Japan, for heaven's sake. And no matter what they do, they can't increase their children. And I know that the Muslims probably have more births per woman, but it's not like they're growing like they did rapidly. Africa's only, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's going on in Nigeria and whatnot. I don't know. But I mean, is Africa the only place that is not having this moral degeneracy, is, I guess, the right word? I just find it's incredibly interesting, and B, there's not much you can do, because it seems like the whole world has come into a chaos where the degeneracy, the nihilism, the lack of family. And this is what Wang Tuning was, because he basically is the thought behind Xi Jinping. He's like, dude, in China there is no family, and basically what he's saying is actually using America as an example, because America, they're all individualistic to the chaos, the destruction of the family, and this is what he was saying in the late 80s and early 90s. The family's disintegrated because of this perpetual nihilism of individuality. I said, man, that's such a no family, you got no culture, man. Man, 100% correct. And you think, well, China has a solution. No, it doesn't. China's going through the same thing. And so all these people say, we got to blame China. Like, China isn't the freaking enemy, man. They're just not. That doesn't mean they're good. I mean, I get it. Horrible stuff is happening in China. But if you read some of the stuff that this guy Wang is writing, that Xi Jinping is advocating for, you're like, a lot of that makes sense. You know, like my man Vox Day is a Christian nationalist. He goes, man, we should not engage in anger towards the Chinese people. It's a hostility against the Christian nationalism that is well beyond just the communists in China. Hell, the capitalist, quote unquote, of Europe is more of our enemy than the Communist Party of China. And I completely agree. The George Soroses of the world. It's not just George Soros, it's all these guys. You know what I'm saying? He just brings, he just comes to mind, obviously, inherently, because he's easy to pick on. But there's other people, too, that are even more, that are what we consider more right-wing. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. But, I mean, just... Anyway, I would suggest you break free from the China is the enemy and the Muslims are going to kill us all, and instead recognize that the battle is so much deeper than that. And if anything, there's a lot of moral, upstanding people amongst our Muslim brothers and sisters, amongst our China nationalists, who just say, look, we're nationalists for China. You know, we're nationalists under the Confucianism methodology, and I'm ignorant about how that works. But we're nationalists. We don't want to take over I mean, obviously there's bad people in the Pentagon, there's bad people in the China version of the Pentagon, I get that. But the China nationalists, the Muslim people who are sitting there saying, we just want to be able to run our families in our countries the way we see fit. And it might not fit with your clean liberal democracy, but then you look at your liberal democracy, what has that got you? Complete degeneracy. Completely. So don't preach to us about how you guys are so much better when you guys are completely rabid degenerates. And I how do you argue against that? You can't. Anyway, I would highly encourage you not to be too quick to say those are our enemies, and instead be a little bit more self-conscious. Say, what can I do to make my world a better place for me and my family? Recognizing I can't control anything else tonight. I'm going to Costco. We'll see ya.